We're now spreading the sewage sludge from Severn Trent. We've got a contractor in to do it. And just to remind everyone of the benefits of this product, it used to be dumped in the sea, so that was obviously, to everybody's mind, an environmental catastrophe. And now it's put on land. We have got phosphate, nitrogen, a little amount of potash in it, sulphur, and a whole load of trace elements. Now, it saves us approximately 300 tonnes of fertiliser a year in bags, and we reduce the amount of nitrogen we put on through the spray. We're on liquid nitrogen to allow for the sludge we put on. We don't use any phosphate, it all comes from the sludge, and obviously sulphur as well. So it has huge environmental benefits to the country, but also to farmland and producing crops. It's just a great win-win for recycling a product. So when you start to look at the product, and some people say it smells, yes it does, but we have regulations to follow. We have to incorporate this within the soil within 24 hours of it being spread. But also I think we need to remember, but when anybody goes to the toilet, you flush that toilet, that is not the end of the problem. That is only the start of something. And it goes to the water companies, it's recycled, it comes onto the land, it produces food. People eat food, they recycle that, and it's back again. So it's a question of keep recycling it, and it's a great win for everybody. Right, I'm in the cab of one of the tractors pulling the spreaders, and this is the computer that operates it. You can just see at the top there, we've got 27.27 tonnes in the spreader at the back. And then what's on this screen, the rest of it then?
We have your application rates, 24 tonne a hectare.
Yeah.
The amount of hectares we've done so far for yourself.
That's on ours since yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, and this is how many tonne we have spread from yesterday till today.
Is that just you?
Yeah, that's just myself.
Right.
And the other spreader is slightly smaller, so she would have maybe half of that as well, so maybe about 900.
Right, yeah.
And it'll be your PTO speed.
Yeah.
And then your application, speed up your application there, your hectares, bring it back down to 24. And then tractor speed, and that's basically it. Turn on your hydraulics.
And off you go.
And off you go. Push the big lever.
And that's the spreader on the back there, so. Great, thank you.
No problem, thank you.
You can see it throwing the sludge out in the field. Yeah, please, just a bit. That's better. That's it, and then you can see it. Thank you. It's all ground speed related, so the faster the tractor goes, it will throw it out the back faster to keep the application rate the same.
It's your application rate percentage.
Yeah.
That's how much is actually going out the back. And what we desire.
Yeah.
And then that's how quick your floor is, 40% speed rate. The quicker you go, the quicker the floor will go.
Right, got you.
So if I give her 2 wee touches there, you'll see the floor coming up, but then she drops the application rate.
Yeah, yeah, I can see that now.
You just sort of give her 40% and she's happy.
Yeah, yeah. Fascinating. And that's the display of the tractor on a Fendt 933. So we're about 7:30 Monday evening. The light is already starting to go. It's quite alarming really, I suppose. Middle of September and it's half dark at this time of day already. This is the field. Next week we're going to start drilling winter wheat in first, and over this hedge, beech hedge planted about a year ago. My front lawn is about in need of a trim, so I'm going to get it done hopefully before the dew comes down. It is quite long. So Tom's cutting the sheet so it fits in the hole. This is the sheet that's just been cut. We've got the bin full of wheat on purpose to change the sheet. That one's got wheat in as well, but even so, we've got ladders outside on the roof. And then we need to push this up and put the bolts in. That line here is because it's an older sheet. We've had it a couple of years and it's just got some muck and dust on it, and the weather will soon clean that so that it will look like that one. Outside, and these hook bolts up through there, straight through that hole that hooks under there. That'll do. That's how they hook on these old concrete purlins. So our Harvest Executive Max hasn't done any shed repairs before, so it's interesting exercise showing him how old buildings were constructed and how they are repaired using these hook bolts. So it's something else he's picked up while he's been working with us. Is that right, Max?
Yeah, it is.
Good. So we thought the job had finished, but what's happened here, Max?
Well, they've just gone and left this one.
Who's that?
Tom and Ruben.
I don't know, can't get the staff. Next job is to change the bulb on the front of the house, and that's gone. Now, thank you, Tom, hold that. Hopefully this one works. Cover that sensor, that's not enough, I have to wait till tonight. Bit of a view up here. Ruben just testing the wind. We've got some glyphosate to put on that field there, but I'd rather not it drift onto the grass. And Frankie's assisting. Bingo, we have light. So that's it, that's the bulb changed, and there's no wonder it wasn't working when you look at this. You can see it all distorted and black inside there. So hopefully now, tonight, it'll be sorted. We're just loading some bales up that we had baled about probably 2 months ago now from one of our winter bird food and wildflower areas. These are the bales, and the reason we baled it was because the plot here had got quite a lot of rubbish in it and a lot of grasses, and it's actually the grasses were overtaking the flowers, and so the only way to deal with these plots is you cut it and remove it by baling it. Otherwise the grasses proliferate, and the fertilizer from the grass when it rots down actually encourages the grass to grow and it smothers out the flowers. So this is the area. There's 0.4 of a hectare here, and this was put in only last year, so it's only a year old. But it's with all these wildlife areas and these stewardship areas, they do need managing. You don't just put them in the ground and forget about them. And this is where I think sometimes DEFRA and some of these people don't realise that the cost of these schemes, it's not all, if you like, income. You do have to manage them. You cannot forget about them. And so when you start to look at what's involved in this, sometimes some of these schemes aren't as profitable as what some people think. We're now concentrating on the bean stubbles, and we've just had some sewage sludge spread on this field and another bean stubble coming winter wheat, and we're just having to incorporate the sludge. You can just see there some of the sludge, the black particles. We have to incorporate it within 24 hours of spreading it, so we're just running through with the Simba Express behind me. But it's also to chop up some of the rubbish, because you can just see in a place or two we've also got some weeds that will just block our drill up a little bit. That's actually not a very bad patch, but there are some worse patches dotted around the field. So we are just going through with this Express to do 2 or 3 jobs in one, and then it'll leave it in a good condition and we'll get it drilled next week. We do every other breed and miss a part across the field all the way across. This is the beauty of GPS. It's just easier at the ends, you don't turn quite so stunt. And we go all the way across the field by missing a breed, as we call it, the width of the machine, and then turn around at that side of the field and come back and fill in. And that's what we're doing now, we're just filling this part in. Another good thing with growing beans or a break crop, or any legume really, whether it's vetches, clover, peas, is that they fix nitrogen and leave nitrogen behind for the following crop to utilise. Now what fixing nitrogen means is that the beans grow in conjunction with soil bacteria, and the bacteria pull gaseous nitrogen into the air, and then it releases it to the crop to grow. And then when that crop grows, it leaves some of that nitrogen behind in the roots. And so of course the great thing is that we then reduce the following nitrogen requirement of the following crop, but we also reduce the nitrogen to allow for the sewage sludge that we've applied here, because that will leave approximately 25 kilograms a hectare. So the way we work this out is that in January we will actually take some soil tests and determine what nitrogen is in that soil. We'll send it away to be analysed, and obviously that is after the bulk of the winter's been, so it depends on how much rain we've had as to how much nitrogen has been washed through the soil profile. And with the current high nitrogen prices, it's a great way of making the following crop more cost efficient to grow by utilising the nitrogen that the crop has left behind, and also the nitrogen that the sewage sludge is releasing. Sausage doggy's on one again. Frankie. So that's where we are now. So it's come down a lot to where it was just a week ago. Crop 1, the flap under the bins hasn't been opened, so there's no air being under the bins. Everything's been going into shed 3. So that's now come down to 18.4. So I'll switch the fans off now until the nights come down to sort of below 10 degrees, because at those temperatures where we are here, it will keep there fine for a few weeks, but we just need colder nights. So it's not bad considering we were 34 and 32 degrees only a week ago, September the 14th, and now we're down to 17.6 and 18.4, so that's good. It's 6:15 Wednesday morning. An incredible outside, still quite dark for the time of morning, shows winter's on the way. Anyway, I'm in the fan house and in front of the automatic controller at the farm that I'm tenant of, just checking the store temperatures. And if you remember last week, that's where we were. We started off at 32 and 34 about a week ago. So I'll just turn the camera around now and we'll see where they are. I'm just cutting some hedges at the minute, and I know a lot of people say it's the wrong time of year to be cutting hedges. You need to leave berries for the birds, and but I actually think we're better off cutting the hedges every year, because if you do them very lightly every year and just trim it, you still leave lots of berries for the birds. Sorry to turn this radio down. You still leave lots of berries for the birds. And if you don't trim your hedges every year and you leave it, say, 3 years, which some people do and some of these environmental schemes say to do, then you've got branches as thick as your arm, and you absolutely annihilate them when you've done it. You split all the stems, and it just looks horrendous. It's the worst thing out, I think. So I'm just going to have a quick look here at the hedge and the berries I've left here with just by doing these hedges every year. So I think this is a prime example and proves my point. When you see the amount of berries that are still left here, this side of this hedge is cut. Look at all the berries in there, just full. And so I don't agree with hedge trimming every 3 years, and I don't agree with people who say by doing it every year you take the berries off, because you don't. Just look at the amount of berries there, and on this hedge there. So that's the side now done, and this hedge now won't get touched till next year. But if you only lightly trim it every year, you get berries like this growing within the hedge, inside where you trim. And so for me, this is much the better option, by trimming lightly every year and just actually taking the twigs off, taking off 1 year's growth. Just look at that all the way down there, much better. You might wonder what's Max doing in the hedge bottom, but we've got these elder bushes here. There's one here, there's another one there, there's another one across the road somewhere up there. We're pulling them out because they just go berserk, these do, if you let them grow and get too big. So we've got a chain around the root, around there. Max has just put that on, and we put that on the Manitou here, and we'll just pull, and hopefully it will pull it out by the roots, because they take over the hedge if you leave them. All right, Max, off we go with the Manitou. All right, Max, let's have a go. Perfect, look at that. Just the job. There we go. Now this hedge here, around this field, all around here, was planted probably 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Fantastic hedge, but having these suckers in it like these are all self-set, it absolutely ruins a hedge. Little bit of a gap there now, but that'll soon grow out this next year. So it's much better to pull them out and get them out the way. So we've one more to do there, and one more across there somewhere. I can't quite see for the sun. That's it, across there.
So they broke up.
Currently on a breakfast group visit to Doddington Hall. They're rewilding the whole farm. Isabel, how many acres?
Bees here.
I'm just doing a bit of record. How many acres did you say it was? 1900?
Yeah, 1900 acres.
Yeah.
600 of wood.
And you're going into wild, everything's rewilding,
Yeah.
and you're looking at having some wild ponies.
Yes, we're going to start with suckler cows. They're going to live out all year round, and that'll help drive habitat
Fantastic.
creation.
Yeah.
And then, in time, we'll introduce some native ponies. They browse in a different way and eat different things.
Yeah.
And also some pigs, because they have quite a disruptive effect on the ground.
Brilliant.
Doing a little loosening.
And then you just explained about this collar, this fenceless system you're going to be trying.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
We've been trying a thing called a new design called no fence collars. So cattle wear a collar,
Yeah.
and I can digitally on my phone create pastures and put back fences in, so that you can actually discreetly move the cattle around, and they hear a sound and they know not to get close to the sound, and so you can actually use that to contain cattle, because we'll take a lot of the internal fences out.
Yeah, and you can see when you look at the whole landscape here, in the amount of woodland. And what did you say there was here? There's about 600 acres of woodland, is there?
600 acres of woodland, ancient semi-natural woodland. Some of them are triple SIs, but actually with the ones that aren't, we're going to experiment with putting the cattle into the woodlands and let them browse, collect their own food over the winter, get shelter.
And you're working with Mind and other mental health organisations.
What we really want to try and do is to get access for the general public to different zones of the farm. Some of the zones we want to really protect the wildlife. We want to help people come out, understand how the countryside is farmed, and about biodiversity, because there are lots of jobs in the future that are going to be associated with ecology, carbon, the climate change and biodiversity crisis. So if we can play a part in helping people access those jobs, that'll be
It's
fab.
fantastic. If anybody's interested, look at on social media and the internet. It's Doddington Hall, and it's called, what is it called?
Wilder Doddington.
The Wilder Doddington.
There's two things. A thorough assay will pick up things, but also having
This is a field that was last cropped 2 years ago, and they're leaving it now, as the rest of the estate is. And and eventually it will become the same as the field we've just seen with the cattle and the pond in it. When you look at the amount of thistles and rubbish that's in here at the moment, and they did get permission from Natural England to top this to try and control the thistles, because it was a bed of thistles. There's a lot of thistles in here now, but eventually the tussocky grasses and the natural grasses will flourish and they'll outcompete the weeds, and it will turn into a nice field for livestock to graze. So it'd be great to come back here in 2 or 3 years' time and just see how that's coming on.
Is it your group picture?
We have Agri here today cleaning and treating our seed wheat that we're going to drill this autumn. So we haven't got enough done today for all the wheat, so they're going to come back in probably about 2 weeks' time and do some more. So we'll have a look round the plants and see what they're doing. So the wheat is coming out of our trailer into this auger and up into the back of the plant. Up through there, through some rotating screens, and I'll see if I can open it. So the waste wheat is coming out of that. There's a bit more. And this is all screening to what we don't want. So those screenings are going out into that trailer. There. And we'll tip that on the heap, and then that will be mixed in with other wheat that we sell. This is the good wheat that is then going to be treated and put into the bag, and then eventually we'll plant in the ground. So it comes through all this system. There is the treatment in that barrel, and then it's going through up the auger and into the bag. And this is a half-ton bag, all treated. We have got ton bags as well, but we've used all those this morning. And we'll just open this top up and look. And that is the treated seed. Shouldn't really handle it too much without gloves on. That's the treated seed, all ready to plant in the ground. And then in the shed, we're keeping them in the shed here, ready for when we use them. And we've got 2 varieties that we've done today with 2 different seed treatments on. The yellow bags there are Skyscraper, which is a soft wheat, so that could be used for feed or biscuits. And then the half-ton bags here are Shabras, which is just an ordinary hard feed wheat, and those the Shabras does really well on our soil type. We've had a little bit of a mishap here, and our Harvest Executive Max has just caught the bag with the little Toyota forklift, so we've got to rebag it. Down a bit, Max. Whoa, that's it. Now forward. So we've got the that'll do, now up. So we've just got a bit of a hole in here, so we're going to have to just rebag this bag and put it in another bag. It's not too much there. Seen far worse. Don't worry, Max, we've seen far worse. This is the last field we're cultivating for next year's sugar beet crop. We don't use a plough. We stopped ploughing here on this farm in 2002, and we use this Simba Solo. We bought it in 2004, so it's quite old, but it still does a cracking job on this soil type. Quite a nice soil here for sugar beet, it's ideal. And we've had the sewage sludge spread. You can see all the black on the soil surface, and we've had some some potash and salt spread, and that's it for the fertiliser for the beet crop. So here, this machine, it's got discs at the front that's incorporating the soil and the straw and the sewage sludge and mixing it. You can see in there, we've then got some legs, and there's 6 loosening legs on this machine. They're working about 8 to 10 inches deep with wings on. Then here we have a press consolidating the ground and leaving it firm for the next set of discs there, and that's doing more chopping and mixing, and that's doing a really good job there, you can see. And then at the following on at the last, we have this unipress, 5.5 metre unipress with the tines at the front, and really we could have the tines out in this field because it's lovely soil here. And then the last row of DD rings at the back, just to finally firm it and leave it in a state for the winter. And it I suppose you could say it weatherproofs it as well. And the next time in here, we'll probably spray it with glyphosate, because there'll be some black grass and grass weeds grow, and we'll spray it before Christmas. And then the next machine in here will be probably the Simba Cultipress in the spring, and we have a Vardastat Tempo direct drill. Will drill the sugar beet. But this is the machine we now use for sugar beet instead of ploughing, to prepare the land for the winter. And it's great really, because it leaves it so level, and it leaves the soil surface in a really good condition. I'll just get out the way, and then you can see the tines. And that's the sort of finish it leaves. Everything's mixed up, weatherproofed, a few clods about, some worms there as well, look, nice worm there. Straw chopped and incorporated, so it's really good machine for this for the leaving land ready for the spring. You can see here the sewage sludge, so phosphate, nitrogen, sulphur, whole load of trace elements here in the sewage sludge. So that's it. This is the last field we've got to do any preparation for next year's spring crops, and we're going to start planting winter wheat on Monday. I'm at our local ploughing match and show near Southwell, near Newark. It's on a different farm every year, and it's just great to come and see machines such as this steam engine behind me running. And there's all sorts of little ploughs and horses as well, but it's on very light land, but obviously it needs to be for this time of year in case they get a lot of rain. But it's great to see these engines and how the work used to be done on the farm all those years ago before tractors were invented. It's just fantastic to see. Lots of trade stands, lots of people here as well. Also lots of non-farmers and non-agricultural people, which is fantastic to show the industry. This is the John Fowler engine. Here's the plough coming down the field, but this one's pulling. See the roller wire, now the guider there is moving it, keeping all the wire, all the steel rope here in line, and here we are, the plough coming down the field, at quite a pace. Fascinating. Now he's steering out to line himself up for the next breed down the field. Then this will move forward in a minute. There we go. Indicating to the man at the other end, he's ready. So now that one will start to pull. Shows the speed these steam engines pull that plough through the soil. Of course, you have to have one up in the air for when it goes in the other direction, because the plough bodies that move the soil face the other way. The new fashion way, or new way rather, is what you call a reversible plough, but that is like two ploughs joined together, and that's why they have to lift one end up when it goes one way and drop the other end down when it goes the other way. Hey, isn't that cheating? Raking the straw up so you haven't got to bury it. I thought that was the idea of these match ploughs, that you could bury anything. There's heaps of straw all over. Another one there. Look, these little tractors. And the expertise in setting the ploughs up is just fantastic. Bit of a newer style Massey compared to some of the old ones that's here, such as over there. Doing a nice job, but when you look at this soil here, not there, lots of gravel in it, lovely light soil, except I should imagine it dries out in the dry time. Not the best for growing good crops in a drought. Now in the area where all the little match ploughs are, the Little Grey Fergies, David Browns, all the older tractors. Oh, there's Little International as well. So fantastic when you look here, what's here today. Just great to see. Really enjoy it. Good day out. Looks like a Little Grey Fergie. Bit more showing out there. Another little old Fergie. Interesting little crawler. Just missed this. It looks like it's finished his plot. Just wonder whether that's run on paraffin. Quite small, this one. There's his plough. Is this run on paraffin? It is, yeah. I thought it might. Are you finished for the day? Yeah. And we have over here, little Caterpillar D2. Brilliant, look at that. Just needs a power harrow down there just to level that off and finish it. Interesting how you've got steering by levers all those years ago, gone to steering wheels, and now the latest Fence combines You can specify levers to steer instead of a steering wheel. Funny how things go full circle. That's it. That's out the ground. Probably about like the plough my father bought. He was telling me years ago when he was a young lad, his dad sent him to an auction to pick up a plough that he'd bought, and he said he trailed it behind the car for 3 miles on the road and never got it jacked out the ground the whole way home. Probably just like this one. Brilliant story. My father's not here anymore, he died 6 months ago, but the tales he tells me from farming all those years ago is fantastic. So we're now in another field that is the Fergie class, apparently, the Massey Ferguson class. We've got there's 3 Little Grey Fergies over there, another 2 or 3. So we'll have a quick look in here and just see what we can find, see if we can speak to somebody. Somebody doing a bit of cheating down there, or gardening, kicking a bit of rubbish in the furrow and burying it. Brilliant. So, what's your name?
Pete Cotton.
Pete Cotton from the Horncastle.
From Belcher.
Belcher, all right, other side now in Lincolnshire, so not far away. So what's the idea of this class then, here?
It's Ferguson, Grey Ferguson ploughs.
Yeah.
And the ploughs with no modifications. It's bog standard ploughing.
Oh, I see.
You
It's a strict criteria then, you can't modify them?
You can't have quick entry top links out like that.
Yeah.
You can have a adjustable top link.
Yeah.
But that's all.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's,
And you're on about the soil here, it's not easy to set your plough up?
well, it isn't, no, because there's hard patches and stones and
Yeah.
it rattles on top of the stones, and then you get a soft spot and it'll dive in.
Yeah,
They'd rip the tram lines, and when you got to them, the plough went
sunk out of sight. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's not the same, they're not consistent, so that's why it's a job to set it up.
You can't set your plough and go from one end to the other without doing a lot of winding.
Okay. And how many of these competitions do you do a year?
Oh, I don't know, 8 or 9.
Yeah.
Next Sunday, going to Friskin, it's still the young
Oh,
family.
yeah.
And Derby's here to Brailsford down there.
Yeah.
And the Barton on Umber.
Oh, right.
Market deep in.
Oh, everywhere then.
There's 1 or 2 more to come,
There's a few
yeah.
going about, yeah, brilliant. Talks to rain the end of this week, doesn't it? So it might be a bit different conditions.
Well,
It might be better.
they ain't had as much rain here.
No.
Because week last Tuesday night, we got 38 millimetres around the hour.
Christ, you did well. We only got 2. Yeah. Brilliant. Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
How old's the tractor?
It's 1955.
And how many horsepower?
About 28.
Is it 28 horsepower? Brilliant.
It's the diesel, this one. This is
Yeah.
This is a TEF20.
Oh, TF20, right. So I know obviously they were paraffin early on, weren't
Yeah,
they?
they're TED20s.
Ah, I see. And are there some here?
There is some paraffin.
I'll go and have a look up here then. Brilliant. Yeah, fascinating. Great, thanks. Good. Here you are, Little Grey Fergie fans. Eat your heart out. There's 14 in this field here apparently. Looks like they've all finished ploughing. Plots are all done. So I've got Harry Henderson here, who is with AHDB still, eh?
I am, yeah.
You are, yeah. And he's one of the judges, or the judge?
One of the judges.
One of the judges for this. This is the Fergie class, is that right?
It is, yeah.
So just explain about Harry, if you would, about the different things you look for that will get you the brownie points.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think the biggest thing is the burial of trash, and it's getting the weed seeds all buried down, and any trash is gone. So you can see that this is not the best on this field.
Yeah.
There's no holes because sunlight shining into holes in the ploughing where you've got your furrow stood on edge can germinate weed seeds again. So it's about weed control. It's about compacted or nicely consolidated furrows, so you should be able to go in with the least amount of effort and with harrows essentially in times gone by, and just get a crop established with a seed drill. So it's as much as you can get it to a commercial seed bed ready for drilling straight on, then that's what wins the prizes. The straightness is aesthetics essentially.
Yeah.
And some of these guys have done really well. The straightness is relatively easy to come by, but and then it's evenness of ploughing, so there's no ridging. The finish is as shallow as possible, but still achieving a burial of trash. And then the ridge, the start in the middle is even as possible, but everything gets ploughed, so you plough outwards, plough back inwards.
Looking at this here, a lot of the plots have struggled at this end. We've got this little wave in just down here, and the next one is it the ground all the way through here?
It is.
Is it hard?
No, it's the opposite. What's happened, the farmer has restructured the tram lines, and that's done such a good job that when these ploughs hit it, they've lost their control of the plough.
Yeah.
So it's all gone a bit funny through through the tram lines that have been restructured before the ploughing started.
Yeah.
So,
brilliant.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Just incredible the number of people here today for a small show ploughing match. The local hounds.
So we'll tell you a bit about it. So parading the hounds, as we say, it's Paul Lowry huntsman since 2008, and Jane Wright, who's been the whipper in for over 30 years. The whipper in, or the whip, makes sure the hounds keep up with the huntsman. This is the origin of the parliamentary team whip. The office of the chief whip currently also being occupied by our local MP, Mr. Mark Spencer for Sherwood, is where the word whip comes from. The pedigree of these hounds can be traced back for more than 200 years.
The chief whip in Parliament.
And the foxhound suburb predates that of the kennel club.
Originates
so it's
from
actually very
hunting.
interesting to read. In recent years, hounds from the Grove and Rufford have won many championships at all major shows, including Harrogate and Peterborough. Both the Grove and Rufford hunts are also many years. So if you want to send your children into the main arena, they can come on in now, come and meet the hounds. I don't know how much running this year Paul will do. In years gone by, it has had to
great for the local hunt to engage with the local community. Events like this. This is the Grove and Rufford Nottinghamshire hunt. There's a big queue for tractor and trailer rides. So that's it for another Southwell Ploughing Match. Fantastic day, really enjoyed it. Thanks to the committee, the organisers, the host farmer Frank Reynolds and his farm manager Lawrence. I know only too well the efforts that go into hosting events like this and the amount of preparation needed from hosting the seals events in the past. So thank you to all involved, look forward to it next year. It's also the end of this week's weekly update on YouTube, so thank you for all the new subscribers. Hope you enjoyed this week's offerings. There's been so much on at this ploughing event this week, or today rather. I'll actually have to put some into next week's videos because it's just going to be so long this week. So catch up with you next week.